The following pre-recorded program is a part of the video conferencing series produced by the Instructional Technology Support Center at Middle Tennessee State University. The program series provides quality educational programming for K-12 teachers and students in the region. For more information about our programming, please visit our website or contact us via email or telephone.
Welcome to the Satellite and Webcasting Center at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm Connie Schmidt, your program producer. Pat Jackson is our director. I'd like to welcome our satellite viewers, our cable television viewers, and our webcasting viewers. We invite all our participants to call in with questions today on our toll-free telephone line at 1-866-904-8352. We're delighted to have back with us today Dr. Zaf Khan from the Department of Elementary and Special Education here at MTSU. He's joined in the studio by some of our MTSU education students. His presentation is Motivation is an Inside Job, Reaching and Teaching the Unmotivated Student. I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Zaf Khan.
I am motivated. I feel motivated. David,
Yes.
Are you motivated?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm excited today. I'm excited to bring you motivation at a different level, a level at which you can conceptualize it, you can theorize about it, and you can take some wonderful ideas from my presentation today. But I'm going to try to capture all of that in 1 hour, and that's going to be a tremendous task. I want you to bear with me. And motivation really is an inside job. It really is. And today's presentation, I'm going to highlight how we could touch, reach every one of those kids, students in your classroom. You know exactly who they are. They're the ones that come into classroom and they are completely disenfranchised and disengaged from the curriculum and from your teaching. I'm going to start out by talking about something I called a tragedy. We have a tragedy in our education system. Did you know that approximately 500,000 students leave school without diplomas, feeling inadequate? And they are going into our world as we know it, and this number is increasing. And this number will continue to increase in the future. One of the things I want to bring to your attention, Meredith, have you ever, or Misty, seen a 4 or 5-year-old, so Samantha, Molly, who's not motivated? A 4 or 5-year-old. My 4 and 5-year-old, Sophia, she is one of the most highly motivated person that you can ever find. But what happens to them when they go into preschool? What happens to them when they go into kindergarten? Where does all that energy go to? Where does all of the excitement go to? And what I've found out is that children's expectations for success remain high until the 2nd or 3rd grade. Wow. I'll say that again. Their expectations for success remain high only until the 2nd and 3rd grade. Something along the way, according to research done by Deborah Stipek, something along the way changes. Something changes. I'm going to share with you some other pieces of revelation. Did you also know that almost every decision about schooling made by educators today, and school administrators, superintendents, principals, policymakers, school boards, they have the intention, intended or not, to promote student motivation. Directly or indirectly, every decision that's made. Here's something I want to bring to your attention. If the camera could go to this, I have created a spreadsheet, a financial information sheet for a school X, Y, and Z, and I want you to see something here that where our money is being spent in schools. And I just made up these percentages and numbers. We spend about 65% of our total budget yearly on salaries and wages. Books and supplies, about 8%. Maintenance, 4.9%. And as you keep going down the list, what do you notice? Do we have a budget line item called motivating students in our schools? Probably not. And if we do, it's at the minuscule percentage of 0.1%. Lindsay, do you see the point I'm making? And it's pretty interesting, isn't it, that we say we want motivated kids, but we don't put our money where our mouth is. Wow. So if superintendents and school board members watching in tonight, I challenge you to create a line item that talks about student motivation where you put X amount of dollars away just to motivate kids to learn. And you do this in very indirect ways with great intentions as well. So my point is, let's start focusing on the issue. I want to talk to you about a special young man. His name is Josh. Josh was my student, yes, 5th grader. And if the first time I met Josh in my first year of teaching, you come out of school, college, higher ed with a degree and you want to save the world. And there was Josh. He just messed it all up for me. Why? Because when I walked in, I saw Josh. This is what he did. He had a hood over his head. And he would literally put his head down on the desk. And I would start my teaching. And I would observe Josh at the back of the room, unmotivated, disinterested, completely not in tune with the class, with his head down. And I'm going to share Josh's story throughout my presentation. And I called it Josh's experience from head down to head up. More appropriately, what did I have to do to get Josh to feel the motivation, to rekindle the desire and love for learning? So I'm going to relate Josh's story as I go through some of my theory, to go through some of the practice, and go through some of the strategies that I have for you today. So when I looked at Josh, I stepped aside from my teaching one day, and I had my reflective moment. They teach you, as a teacher, you have to be a reflective practitioner. So Josh's idea in the classroom, where he would come and he would just slide by. He did the minimum. He was just showed lots of apathy. In all of his classes, he was failing, underachieving. It was a complete disengagement, disconnection completely from the desire to learn. So I took Josh on as my experiment for the year. And I decided to learn everything I wanted to know about how to get Josh back, how to get Josh to find love and passion for learning. I knew he was disenfranchised. I also knew that Josh was unwilling to work for anything. I also knew that Josh had what was called a work-to-earn mentality. And something else Josh really loved. He loves to be entertained. Yes, and he'll only rise up to the occasion on entertainment because he would come in with his Game Boy, and that's all he did, and put it down and laid his head down to rest. So I knew as a new teacher, I was also competing with the world of technology. I call it the techno-gadget world. And Josh loved the Sony PlayStation, he loved the Xbox, and all these other things he talked about. So I started to think, wow, just maybe I need to become that PlayStation. Just maybe I should become that Xbox 360. Just maybe I should study game development and find out what intrigues, what excites, and what motivates kids to stay on those games for such a long time. So I went on my expedition, my educational voyage, and also some other things, he just lost interest. I also felt culturally incompetent because Josh was also a Native American. I probably thought, maybe I need to find some types of cultural synchronization as I went through the literature on meeting and reaching children from diverse backgrounds. Maybe we're not at we don't have this reciprocal type of relationship. Maybe we need to change my teaching style. So I started to have these reflective moments, and he just could not see this link between effort. He could not see the link between success, and he had this case of learned helplessness. I failed, I'm going to fail again, so why even bother trying? And I call that the Pike syndrome. So I went through the literature at night, go to the library, look at books, and I wanted to find out in the literature what can I do as a teacher. And this just kind of popped up at me. And it was Wehner's research. He talked about 4 things that a child will, or a student will attribute success to. There is the ability, they will attribute it to effort, they will attribute it to the level of difficulty of the task. And there are some out there that attributes their success to just luck. So I started to ask the question, motivated and inspired by Wehner, how a student perceives success will make a big difference in all future successes. So this perception I had to put back with Josh and work through it. So after a while, through my reflection, I came up with I think 6 or 5 questions, actually 5 invisible questions. I know by the way, folks, these are the questions your students will ask of you, but you probably won't know about it. You know why? It is a secret. It is their internal dialogue of wanting you to model these things and show them these things and demonstrate, but you probably won't be asked. And these are the 5 questions I think Josh had at the back of his mind every time he walked into my classroom. The first one is, do you really care about me? The second question, do you really understand me? Third one is, do you really know how I learn? Do you really have high expectations for me? And the last one I really love, that I think he would have asked me, is, do you really love what you teach? Powerful questions. And now these sound very simplistic, they sound very practical, but your job is you can go on teaching for 20 years, no matter how long you teach, but you could go on in a classroom never answering one of those questions for any one of the students. So I started my pilgrimage on motivation to answer these questions and do it in a very deliberate way.